Fellas, don't drink that coffee.
You'd never guess. There was a fish in the percolator.
Showtime, everybody!
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Fish in the Percolator. My name is Scott Meany.
My name is Matt Jorney.
Well, I gotta say, we got our crazy episode now.
I'm so happy. I was a little scared. I was a little scared that the silliness of Twin Peaks that made us fall in love with the show would be non-existent in this season, and I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. Took a minute to get there in this one, but once we were there, I was delightfully, giddily laughing all over the place in this next episode.
You're a better man than I, because I was going immediately for Space Terror, and you went immediately for the Chocolate Bunny, and you're correct. I stand down, sir.
Both are good. Both were good and exceptionally well done in this episode.
You know what? I'm happy to start with the Chocolate Bunny. So, let's just launch right into it, folks.
Okay, so in a true Twin Peaks fashion, or even just a Lynch fashion, there is a elongated scene involving Andy, Lucy, and the Hawk. They have put out all the files about the Laura Palmer case and everything involved, as he asked for last episode. And what stems from that is this elongated conversation of how Hawk's ancestry is supposed to help him find something that's missing from the case. And Lucy basically confesses to eating evidence once upon a time. Something I'm pretty sure is a felony. I mean, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is done on this case, but still, holy cow. Like,
it's probably a fireable offense. How about that? You just take it to a workplace level. It's a fireable offense.
And her reason for it was she was feeling a bit bloated that day, and she had heard, possibly from a Native American, that chocolate helps to get rid of gas. And therefore, Lucy comes up with this great idea like, well, Hawk, you're Indian, her words, not mine, right? And Hawk just gives her a textbook, fantastic 30-second pause. Yes, Lucy. Yes, I am.
It was another some of my best friends are white people moment.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Hawk.
Oh, absolutely.
God, Hawk rules.
Hawk taking it with some super good humor, too. Like, you can just tell Hawk's been dealing with these fucking white trash morons for his entire life and is like, all right, I know they're good people at heart, but Jesus Christ, are you guys morons?
So they're sitting around the evidence, all of the evidence from the Cooper case, trying to figure out what's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And the chocolate that Lucy ate is potentially what's missing, but it seems like the dumbest idea in the world. And halfway through it, you, the viewer, are thinking, maybe it is the Chocolate Bunny.
And
this is Twin Peaks.
And so is Hawk. Because
as soon as he said it,
he's like, it's not the bunny, Lucy. Wait a minute. Is it the bunny? 10 seconds go by. It's not the bunny.
No, it's not. It's so great.
Is it the bunny, though? And yeah, and that's pretty much the long and short of that entire 15-minute scene, by the way.
Perfect, though. It was so good. It was such a, yes.
It's good to go back to Andy and Lucy being just stark raving stupid. like they're dumber than they've ever been in this episode. Their bodies seem to have aged really well in 25 years, but their brains surely have not. Because like Lucy always being a bit of a mousy and a bit of a quirky woman never seemed downright dumb until this episode.
I would say that like Lucy seemed dim-witted.
Right, like in her own bubble, maybe, like if we're going to be nice about it, but
yeah, well, like you're being kind about it, because there's been plenty of times when it's like the explanation, like the pilot episode of Twin Peaks, when she's explaining to Sheriff Truman which phone she's transferring the call to, and hard explaining everything about it. Like that's the most Lucy thing that ever happened on the show. And now she seems dumb as a brick.
Right, like Lucy always implied the people she worked with was dumb with her over-explanations, and Andy is probably the number one reason for all of that. But, yeah, like Lucy has never been Andy levels of stupid before, and now she might be winning the race.
Andy's accurate to how dumb he always was. Like, Andy, like, there are red wines and white. Like that's, like...
But you know what? Andy never ate evidence. That's a pretty dumb move, Lucy.
God, that scene really, it warmed my heart. It was going like, it's a little silly. And then when Hawk goes, is it the bunny? Like, that made me feel so good.
He goes back and forth twice for a grand total of 4 times, dude. It's the best. It's the best. He's like, he knows at his core, everything involving Cooper and the Laura Palmer murder is ass backwards, ridiculous, dream logic bullshit. Like, he's the only one in the town other than Coop who got it implicitly. Now that it's 25 years and he's got to get back into that mindset, he's like, it could be that goddamn bunny. But what does that mean?
We don't get any resolution on that.
None.
At all. And I'm fine with that for now. Do you want to go to Coop's bizarre dream space of where he is?
Coop's awesome voyage, as I've been calling it for this episode. Coop, after the collision, the possible collision of Bob and the Red Room, or the Lodge, whatever you like to call it, is going flying through what I am going to guess are the depths of the Lodge itself. Last episode, I thought Coop might have escaped. That seemed to have not been a permanent thing at the time.
Coop was attacked at the last moment before he tried to jump in, and he was thrown into non-existence.
Okay.
So I don't think he's in the Lodge anymore. I think he's outside of the Lodge, in some other realm of being.
Okay. If the Lodge is a waiting room, as it's been described, Coop, after his brief stint in the glass box, is sucked back in and is definitely on the far-flung end of the other side of wherever the fuck the other side is.
Yeah, exactly, though.
That's the best way I can explain it. And
no, that's accurate. And then the maiden in black from Demon Souls is down there.
She is, and she talks the way a dog would heavily breathe. She never speaks. And she doesn't even make guttural noises. It's just really weird sounding breathing. And she's trying to warn Coop about something. He sees like a giant amplifier, like you would, like a real weird done up thing you'd see at like a black metal concert with the number 5 in it initially.
I'm just going to call her the Maiden in Black, even though she's not wearing black. Like, whatever. If you played Demon Souls, that should make sense to you. Eyes occluded by wax.
There you go.
But I'm going to admit accidental racism for about 3 seconds. When he showed up and there was a clear Asian woman sitting on the couch, I went, oh, is this going to be like what they're doing with Josie now?
I thought so too, because she was an Asian woman. Like,
but she's not Josie at all. Like,
no.
I mean, unless they switch.
Right, but when you first see her, it's from 30 fucking yards away. You can't even tell that her eyes are non-existent and fletched over. So that's what I thought too. I'm like, oh, is Coop so far on the other side that he's seeing
save Josie?
I mean, it very well could be because she's sitting near a fireplace in this weird fucking building that's floating in nothingness, and then Coop, like in a real bizarre, like fucked up tape style of showing somebody move, kind of Gumby's his way towards her. She begins to signal that Coop needs to get the fuck out of that room.
It's a really cool visual effect. And the door starts getting pounded on real hard. And
so, yes, the woman with no eyes is signaling to Coop to follow her, and she leads him up a ladder that leads him to the outside of what looks like a giant metal box that's floating in space. There is this bell-like structure that is supposed to be the power generator of some sort.
It's something like that because she pulls that lever, electrocutes herself, and then flies off into space.
Never to be seen again. Coop, being the hero that he is, tries to rescue her, but is unable to. And as he looks into the void, he sees the giant disembodied head of Major Briggs pass by and says, Blue Rose.
And as we all know from Fire Walk with Me, Blue Rose was on Lil's lapel as she was doing her weird mime dance, which you were such a fan of.
It's a dumb character and a dumb thing in that dumb movie. I
like it. And I love Fire Walk with Me. I really do.
I do too.
I watched it again last week and it was like, God, I love this movie.
But the mime thing makes zero sense.
Well, now it will, because obviously they're going to keep going with it. First of all, man, I'm happy they worked Major Briggs into this. And I like that Bob, as we learned in the first 2 hours, we learned that Bob did meet up with Major Briggs. Maybe he killed Major Briggs, maybe not. Who knows?
I have a theory if you want to hear about it.
Please do.
If Major Briggs' spirit is trapped on the other side where Coop is currently being, then since that time where he escaped the lodge in the middle of the second season, has Major Briggs been a doppelganger this entire time? Is that now why he's working with Bob?
I don't believe Major Briggs is working with Bob, but I cannot discount your theory.
He did talk to him.
We don't have enough info, so I'm fine with that. I am just glad they found a way to work Major Briggs into the show. That's awesome. And Blue Roses, that is a sign of a supernatural or weird kind of a case that specifically Gordon Cole was working on.
It's an X-File in a world that doesn't have the X-Files, basically.
Exactly. I'll give you that. Yeah, it's an X-File. Blue Rose means X-File. That's right. Go on. Keep leading us through Coop's wild ride.
So after the transparent, disembodied, gigantic head of Major Briggs disappears, Coop decides, fuck this staring into infinity, I better go back downstairs. Crawls downstairs and immediately notices that the amplifier now has a number 3. The numbers changed on the amplifier from 5 to 3. He noticed a second woman in the couch by the fireplace. This woman does not have her eyes cemented over by flesh. She's kind of like, doesn't care that Coop's there, unlike the first woman.
But she's helpful. Like, she's definitely helpful.
She's helpful when that knocking begins again. And then she becomes super agitated in her backward speech that we hear the Lodge people speak, which is why I think this might still be part of the Lodge, or at least existing in the same realm where the Lodge exists. She tells Coop, you need to go now. My mom's coming.
Yeah.
And we never get to see the mom. We just see that really weird cinematography shot of that door being pounded and kind of moving fourth dimensionally, which is what I've always liked about Lynch stuff. Like, he shows impossible things happening as far as movement and sound and disorientating things go.
I fully agree with you on that. Like, I think the ability that you and I are big Lovecraft fans. And
love him. Yep.
Obviously, like everyone on the internet, we like Lovecraft, but like fucking predictable assholes. But neither here nor there. I do think that unknown, otherworldly type of stuff is hard to shoot, and I do think that Lynch is such a master of what's off-putting visually that he really puts stuff together. Like, there's no reason that like strange repeating, you're right, like VHS almost like repeating like kind of a loop sort of thing that was happening with the woman with the eyes occluded kind of thing, like was so offsetting, but it really was. And there's just other stuff you see that's like, man, this really fuck you up.
It's dream logic, and it's that for a specific reason. If you are in a dream where imagery and sound and things are not of an impossible order. We'll use the Lovecraft terminology. Impossible, geography, impossible movements, and in film, like Lynch really does it well because he makes it so that you can understand what is happening. But if you were ever to see the world distort like that in real life, it'd be the most fucking terrifying thing you could ever see.
It's realistically unsettling.
Yes.
Like, that's what it is. Like, it's the kind of thing where it's the sort of, he pulls off the kind of tricks that you would see while hallucinating or something like that. Like, this is what your mind really does. Like, it's not like when you watch The Cell or something like that and a cow comes apart and it's crazy. That's too much. Like, that's not real on what you would see. But what you would see, the only thing that I felt a little weird about was when they did the ink in the water effect that comes at the end of this scene. That's the only thing that I was like, that's a little like pedestrian for Lynch.
Can't all be tens, but
but he does so well at creating these things that should be terrible effects, and it really works out.
Yeah, whatever's on the other side of that door, you don't want to meet it. Like, it's clearly bad. And so Coop, taking the other woman's advice, Coop gets sucked into the amplifier, and here's where we learn something.
Well, it's like an outlet.
It does look like an outlet, but it's also bouncing back and forth as the sound's coming out of it like an amplifier.
It's also connected clearly to Bob Doppelganger Coop. Let's just call him Doppelganger Coop from now on. I mean, like, who knows if Bob
no, we
exists
can't.
anymore.
We can't because we're going to get into other Doppelganger Coop in a second too.
That's a that's yeah. You're right. I'm going to shut up.
Yep.
But like, yeah, you're right.
They need Bob. They need names. The show gave them names, so we're going to use the names.
Fine.
What is Bob?
Bob Coop's in the car.
Yeah,
and he's driving, and there's the outlet, and it's clearly affecting him in some way.
Feedback is coming from the giant machine that Coop was fed into to electrical devices. So it looks like that whatever the influence is of the lodge or this universe or who knows what can travel through electric currents.
Yeah.
Like that is very much what it is showing here, because all of a sudden, Bob, who is speeding down the same highway, trying real hard not to go back to the lodge. Now we know that if it's electrical currents that can grab him and suck him into the lodge, that, like, he's really not protected anywhere. Like, he's waiting for a bad fucking thunderstorm, and it might be all over for Bob. But he is driving like a bat out of hell. And then all of a sudden, Bob starts to feel really, really, really sick. So sick and dizzy that, in fact, he crashes his car. And we're going to wait. We're not going to get to the part we want to get into just yet, because right as he crashes his car, we just smash cut to another one of Kyle MacLachlan's characters named Dougie, who is finishing up, apparently having a fun time with a hooker he has picked up, but she is stark-ass naked. Dougie is completely clothed with his zipper up. So I don't know what Dougie and this hooker were doing before we got to see him, but Dougie starts complaining that his arm feels a bit tingly. And you look down, and what does Dougie have on his right arm? Is it his right arm or his left arm?
Left, I think.
It's his left arm. It's the ring I call the Ring of Sacrifice from Fire Walk With Me.
I think Dougie was created as this artificial construct to throw off Cooper if he's trying to fight his way back in, because I think Bob's been working really hard to make sure that he doesn't have to go back to the lodge. Mm-hmm. And I think that was literally it. So when Coop actually fights his way back through the outlet, you think he's going to appear in the car with Bob, but it turns out he sort of takes over this other guy, Dougie, clothes and everything, replaces this guy, no car, a key to the Great Northern Room where he had 25 years ago in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he just seems like he has brain damage.
Yeah,
and
he sure does.
The hooker lady, really helpful, because there are people waiting outside to kill Coop.
Mm-hmm.
They put a bomb on his car. There's another guy waiting with a sniper rifle. By sheer luck alone, he avoids these guys and ends up getting dropped off at a casino.
At the same exact time as Coop is trying to tear out of whatever universe he's in back into our world, both Dougie and Bob Coop, we'll call him Bob Coop, how's that sound?
Bob Coop.
Both become horribly sick and start puking their guts out, which are full of creamed corn. Now, I know the ongoing rumor, it's not really a rumor, I don't know if it's definitively said in Fire Walk With Me, but it's highly implied that creamed corn is essentially what is this manifestation of these spirits' essence, right? Like, that's what it looks like. It is something they covet. It's something they possibly need to survive in this world. We don't
Never
know.
explained, so you're rightish.
But it's coveted. Like, they're looking at it when they're in that cabin with each other, and they almost kind of fight over, like, this is mine. No, this is mine. And the fact that it is being so violently torn from them that they're bleeding while they're puking this shit out shows that something is really bad. And like you said, both of them start to get sucked into the lodge at the same time, and Dougie is the one that eventually gets sucked in entirely. I liked your idea that Bob made him so that Dougie would get sucked in instead of Bob, but I don't think Bob's that stupid to realize that if any of Coop's doppelgangers come in, that he's allowed to leave now. So maybe Mike actually made him because he knew Bob was going to be a problem in the future.
Sure, let's see.
Dougie, despite having a price on his head, seemed like an okay kind of guy.
He seemed like a normal kind of guy, like just caught up in something he didn't quite understand.
Yeah, he's just trying to enjoy an evening with his lady friend and, you know, being a gentleman at that. And then all of a sudden two fucking rednecks show up ready to blow fucking Dougie out of this earth. But yes, okay, so Bob pukes up his guts, his cream corn. 2 state troopers find him and immediately become violently sick because whatever Bob puked up is toxic to human beings. That's another little thing that we need to know because nothing like that's been featured in this show yet either. Oh boy, what the fuck does that mean? Cut back to a very, very nice prostitute who gives him $5, drops him off at the nearest casino and says, call for help. I think you might have had a stroke. You know, like definitely cares enough to not leave him for dead, but doesn't want to get involved because apparently Dougie's been up to some shit that she does not want to get caught up in, and I don't blame her.
That could be connected to the people that wanted to kill Bob Coop.
Could very possibly be that as well. Like,
remember, folks, we haven't seen episode 4 yet at the time of this episode.
Right. This is episode 3 only. We're not jumping ahead. But Coop goes into the casino, and some of the worst casino security guy. I've been to a lot of casinos, and if somebody who was clearly disoriented or acting drunk or stoned or looked like they just had a stroke, I think would help them to be like, all right, well, why don't we just take you away from the general populace and call you an ambulance? But instead, the security guard shows him where to cash in his $5 to go play some casino games. And as Coop walks into the casino, he thinks the slot machines are phones because he keeps putting a quarter like a payphone in, pulling the lever and screaming hello like he saw another guy do, and is waiting for a connection. Instead, he keeps winning jackpots, and that's when you realize Coop is seeing a doorway to the lodge in front of every machine that's ready to give out a payday, and Coop hits 4 or 5 consecutive jackpots, alerting the security to come pay attention to Coop, which finally gives the call back to Washington and the FBI, where my 2 favorite fucking characters are confirmed to in fact be on this goddamn show.
God bless them both, Albert and Gordon Cole.
Mm-hmm. You know
Gordon Cole, which by the way seems like he has better hearing aids.
They're handling him so much better. I can buy him.
I disagree with you immensely on your problems with Gordon Cole, but I hear you, and they are. Obviously, that Gordon Cole couldn't appear here, so I agree with you.
This Gordon Cole, I can believe, is the head of the FBI. Like, this guy looks like an old-timer who's seen a ton of fucking shit, and yes, he's got his hearing aids on, and they still work in that joke a couple of times, but he doesn't seem incompetent like he always has in the early times. So, they're discussing a murder, a roundtable discussion of a new murder case that, Gordon is spearheading. They leave, and then Gordon tells a new agent to the show. Do you remember the character's name?
Not at all.
Me neither.
We're going to avoid my answer on that.
Okay, she's going to be important though, because we'll later find out she's part of the cast. But she is the one who headed up the 2 people in front of the glass boxes murder, which we haven't found fact that they got murdered, and murdered hard by whatever the fuck escaped from that glass box.
Yep. And they got murdered hard.
Real hard. It looks like their heads were ripped open and their brains were scooped out. Like, real bad.
You won't see them no more.
No, they are dead. Turns out nobody knows who hired them or even who owns the building.
I still like your theory that it's Audrey. I still like that theory.
Well, my theory,
especially the connection to the New York people in the Great Northern. I think that's a good theory.
My theory was Audrey owned the casino in Vegas, not that she owned the glass box.
Well, I didn't think she owned the glass box, but I thought that she hired them. Well, then I stand corrected.
Yeah, and, I mean, it could have been her.
Your theory sucks. That's a dumb theory.
It was. Well,
casinos. Never mind. You're wrong. You're incorrect.
We don't know that yet.
That's
Fuck
a dumb
you.
Theory.
Fuck
Dumb
you.
theories.
We do not know if that's
Dumb
incorrect
theories
yet.
for dumb people.
I think that the guy in Vegas is scared of Ben Horn and was hiring Audrey Horn. New York, I don't know who the fuck is dealing with New York. Maybe who was Coop's old partner that was nutcase? Maybe
He's done.
Right, but maybe he
Wyndham
had
Wyndham Earl is real done.
but he might have had proteges. Like,
okay, I'll give you that. But
you know what I mean?
Wyndham Earl got vaporized.
No, Wyndham Earl is gone. His soul got ripped out of his body. He's no longer in existence. But he might have had proteges. We know that him and Major Briggs worked with other people into this shit. So there could be any number of different factions. Point being is FBI could not find anybody who was directly involved with this, but whoever it was cut and ran real quick because all that fucking recorded data still there when the FBI came to investigate. So they see the shadowy figure of a human body inside that glass cage. What the hell is that? Just beautifully put. Like, this man had a ghost David Bowie come barreling into his place of business, and it didn't even muff him. And now he sees a ghost inside a cage, and it blows Gordon Cole's mind.
Yeah.
So, Gordon gets the call and says, it's about Agent Cooper. Gordon runs and talks to it while an impatient Albert starts asking Gordon all these questions. Is it really him? Is it really him? And then Gordon puts down the phone and he's like, we're leaving tomorrow morning. We can't speak here. But yeah, it's him. We're going. Gordon looks at the new lady agent and says, and pack your bags. You're coming with us, new FBI agent for the show. And she kind of looks at Albert in an inquisitive manner. Albert now looking like a high official, worthy of respect from the younger agents, which he damn well fucking ought to have been. Immediately starts just kind of like shit talking Coop with a smile on his face, just happy to see his old, like, you get the sense that he's happy that he might finally get to see his old friend again and figure out what the fuck went on in that town.
You know, Albert, like, you know, it's like, yeah.
It's love. It's always love. It's love. It's always love with Albert.
It's love. Is there anything else to talk about this episode?
I think that just about covers it for episode 3. There wasn't a lot of dialogue in it. It was just a bunch of visuals of Coop's floating in space for about 30 minutes. And then Coop having, like, I don't think he's brain damaged. He even says in the middle of the casino.
Yeah, I don't think he will be permanently either. I agree with that.
He says in the middle of a casino when he's looking for a phone, I'm so tired. But I mean, 25 years of being stuck in fucking limbo, we don't know what that'll do to a mind. So maybe they do.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
I mean, maybe they do go with Coop being completely, mind fucked for half the season. Who knows?
I'm interested to see where it goes. Like, I think we're going to learn a lot more. I think this episode was so conceptual in terms of what it's giving us.
We did miss something possibly important. I'm going to say it's important because it keeps showing it.
Please do.
Jacoby is spray painting shovels gold.
Yeah, like whatever the fuck. I don't have anything further to say on
that. Nope, that's it. That's the scene.
He's spray painting shovels gold. You're right. That's correct. We should mention it. I'm sure it'd be important, but I have nothing to say about that right now outside of, Jacoby.
He's doing a good job at it. He's got a real professional rig set up.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out later that he's got like a pile of hundreds of shovels then, because to have built that rig.
What if Jacoby is this show's cigarette smoking cancer man? What if he actually knows what's going on in this town and his crazy backward shit is like the only thing that's going to save us all in the end?
DMT, the spirit molecule. It's the only way to view that.
Hey, look, man, like, in many ways, we just made 3 fucking references to 3 completely different franchises that all stem somewhere from Twin Peaks. They did it first. It wouldn't be weird if it went back around and they started incorporating all this other new shit into it as well.
You're right. It's possible. Who the hell knows?
Another important thing we should bring up is that when Dougie gets sucked into the lodge, theoretically, instead of Bob, he, like, 2 sides of him divide and then reconjunction into what looked like either a brass or a gold marble. And that is kept on a dais along with the Ring of Sacrifice. And real important is Mike. I'm just going to call him Mike because he's not the arm. He's the armless man, Mike.
He's Mike now.
Averts his eyes when he separates in a hurry. That could very well, like that darkness thing that comes out of him, that just looks like a giant ink face. That might be the thing that the people of the lodge are actually afraid of getting into the lodge in the first place.
Sounds terrific to me. All right. That's been another episode of Fish in the Percolator. We are getting there as fast as we can. We understand we're about an episode behind on things, but we like it that way because we're going to take these episodes one at a time and enjoy them as we will. We hope you'll enjoy them with us. So I have been Scott Meany.
I've been Matt Chorney.
You can find me on Twitter at PureFiller or at purefiller.com.
You can find me on Twitter at Handsome Tony. And tell us what you think of the show, guys.
All right. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.